So I don't know if this will be very useful for writers. This may be more useful for students or readers. But today I want to talk about, or in this video, I want to talk about uh, theme and what themes are and what themes are not. And then how readers can explore themes for writing, or students can explore themes to be able to write papers to get good grades, and then to a lesser extent how writers should approach themes. So that's what I want to talk about, because I think themes are misunderstood. The word is used in different contexts. So let's say you get an invitation to go to a Star Wars themed party. Well, I wouldn't get an invitation for this kind of party and I wouldn't go to it. But say a person gets an invitation for a party that's a Star Wars themed. Everybody's going to dress up in Star Wars costume. Darth Vader, Chewbacca, Han Solo, Princess Leia, or whatever her name is. Anyway, that's not really what theme is. It is in the sense that people use that word in real life and it conveys a meaning and there's an understanding, so that is what theme is. But for the student or the writer, that's not how we should approach the word theme. So what are themes? First of all, we have character, we have setting, we have tone, we have point of view, we have all those things going into a story. And the summation of that is the theme, or maybe the theme is the blood that flows throughout the story. So it's not an accumulation of the story, but it's the blood that flows throughout the story, and is tied with tone. Um, but the first thing I want to say about, well, I guess I already said many things about theme. So the first point I want to make about theme is that theme is also called, or the word theme is used to describe um, subjects or topics. And though topic or subject is related to theme, it's not the same thing, and it shouldn't be, the word shouldn't be used interchangeably for the two because they're different. So it's important for you to understand the difference between subject and theme. So if you watch, let's say, a cartoon like Toy Story 3, and you could say the subject of the cartoon, or the subject of the theme, is abandonment. That's the subject, not the theme. You can't say, well, you can say, but it's not proper in this context of a writer or a or sophisticated reader, student. It's not appropriate to think of that, the theme of Toy Story 3, as abandonment. It's the subject. And I say subject because it's a more literary, not non fictional or historical type of story. So I use the term subject rather than topic. Um, but anyway, the theme of the Toy Story 3 would be something like a criticism about capitalistic culture that uses the essence of something and then discards it like a piece of trash. Um, that's not the theme either. I just can't think of a theme, a complete statement about the movie, because I'm just kind of coming up with it. But anyway, that would be, the theme would be something along those lines, like maybe that's a Marxist interpretation. It doesn't have to be a Marxist interpretation. It doesn't have to be sophisticated really that much, or at all, to be sophisticated. It just needs real interpretation based on the topic and the pattern of the topic circulating throughout the story. So you see examples of abandonment in Toy Story 3, where they don't know if they're going to go into the attic or if they're going to get sent away to the daycare. Uh, are they still loved by Andy? So you'll see throughout the movie there are patterns of abandonment. The whole motivation of that bear character is his resentment for being abandoned, and that being the catalyst of his sort of Stalin like uh, uh, tyranny or whatever. Um, but that's an example in Toy Story 3 of how subject works and how theme works. You can watch, let's say, let's say I'm reading Ready Player One, which I am, unfortunately, and you could say the subject of that, if it even has a theme, the subject of that is maybe friendship. Okay, because the idea that people are working together in groups to find these keys, but at the same time everybody's in it for themselves, because everybody wants the keys, but there are groups that are forming and the characters are marginalized and kind of on their own, but they develop a friendship uh, formed by the antagonism of the corporate power that's trying to get the keys. So that is the subject of that book is friendship. Okay, but what does the book say about friendship within the book? I mean the plot, or and connecting it with just the human experience. That as a sentence or a phrase or a few sentences or a paragraph or a book, that is the theme. The theme as an expression is a complete idea. A word is not a complete idea, so a theme must be expressed in a complete idea. How long the complete idea needs to be, it could be one sentence, it could be a novel, or even a discussion. An exchange over time about what the theme is, and that being the theme. I don't know. The book is saying something about the subject. The tone of the book is saying something about the subject. The interactions of machinery in the story, character, setting, plot, uh, all of those parts are moving, and their movement and the tone of their movement all are pointing at the direction of the subject. And that interaction between the subject's parts, or the parts and the subject, the story's parts and the subject, that interaction is the place where we mine, we infer theme. So if you're a student, you want to look for patterns connected with what you believe the subject of the book is. So if we're talking about For Whom the Belt, no, maybe a better one would be Farewell to Arms. Okay, here's World War One, and they're in Italy, and these people are in love, but it's a context of the setting is in the middle of war, and so you can't really have normal human relationships in a war. So the subject of the Farewell to Arms is war. We want to look for patterns of war appearing in the story, appearing in the tone, the attitude, the events that occur. There are characters who are in uniform. What is the book's tone to all those things? And that's where we discover the theme, or we interpret the theme. So, as a writer, how do we approach themes? And my personal opinion as a writer is that don't approach a theme. Approach a subject or be willing to explore a subject, but don't come in with any preconceived ideas about what you want to say, because writing is more about learning. So to come into the story with a set idea is probably not going to be good. It's just a little bit like a self-absorbed thing a writer might do. And this is my idea, and it's so good, and I'm going to write a story about it. But I think it can be done. It just depends on the right book. But generally, you should explore explore subjects, and then discover what the theme of the book might be as a writer. When students are exploring theme, they shouldn't confuse the idea of a subject with the theme. If the student approaches a reading of a book from the perspective that subject and theme are synonymous or that they mean the same thing, there's going to be problems with the material produced from the reading that the student would use in an essay. That's going to be a bad paper. It's going to be a boring paper. It's going to be a difficult paper to write for the student because there's not going to be a lot of material to include in the essay. So, they need to know that if you're a student, you figure out the topic, and then you look for patterns and you try to explain those patterns, and that explanation is theme. And if you're the writer, just pick a subject and go with it. Explore it, see where it goes, and discover what the theme is. So, for students, I hope that's useful, and for writers, I hope that's useful. I encourage you guys to keep writing and keep reading and keep exploring, and stay focused, stay consistent, and stay positive.